Yes.
Okay. So is my screen visible to you? You can write on in chat box if it is visible. So hi everyone. This is Priyanshu from Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador Program. And in today's meeting, we will learn about Git and GitHub. Now, if you are new to coding and hear your fellow colleagues talking about Git and GitHub, but you don't know what they actually are and you have never used it before, then this meeting is exactly for you. Even if you are one of those people who have been using Git and GitHub for a while, in this meeting, you will surely learn some more areas which you might not have explored till now. So let's begin this presentation. First of all, here are the agendas or the topics that we are going to cover in this session. Before diving directly into Git and GitHub, we will begin with defining open source software and how it is related with our topic of discussion. Then we will move to version control system, their types, and finally the benefits of version control system. Then we will start with Git and then GitHub, exploring what are the features of each of them and why are they so popular among the developer community. Then we will see about some common Git commands and operations that we will perform. And finally, we will learn how to set up Git and start with open source contribution. So now let us suppose that you are working on a project, whereby using the word project, I mean to say that anything related to programming, ranging from a simple program of finding factorial of a number to designing complex and hierarchical databases and applications. Let us consider everything as a project. So if you are working on a project, then there are three ways by which you can do so. You can either work on the project alone, which is known as solo project. In this method, everything, all the tasks in the project like planning of the features, designing of the interface, and finally coding the application is done by a single person. And this is known as solo project. The second method by which we can work on a project is by collaboration with friends and colleagues, and this is known as team project. Here, each member of the team is assigned a specific subtask, and finally, the solutions of all the subtasks are merged together to form the project, and it is known as team project. Now, the third one is open source project, in which the owner starts the project by writing a small code which is uploaded on a public platform so that anyone from the developer community who is interested in the project can give contribution to it and see the code. So open source project is basically a project in which the source code is open to everyone and anyone who is interested in the project can see the source code, give suggestions for improving the project and can give even their own solutions in it. So open source is typically a collaborative effort where programmers improve upon the source code and share changes within the community so that the other members can help improve it further. Open source software is a software with source code that anyone can inspect, modify, or enhance. Now let us move on to the second topic, that is version control system. Version control systems are basically a category of software tools that helps in recording changes made to files by keeping a track of modifications done on them. A version control system is a process management system which allows us to track the history of a collection of files. It maintains changes recorded in a file or a set of files over a large period of time. It supports creating versions, and each version captures the snapshots of the project at a certain amount of time. Here, the word snapshot means that different versions of the program. It is actually the entire state of the program at a particular point of time. So it contains all the files in the project at a particular instant. So version control system captures snapshots of the files and allows the user to switch between these versions. These versions are stored in a folder which is commonly known as a repository. Version control system is used to track changes in text files, which may contain either the source code of some programming languages or some HTML files, or let us say configuration files, etc. But it does not mean that it is used only by by programming community. Version control system can also handle other types of files, such as it can handle image files like PNG file, JPG files, etc. In order to understand what version control system actually does, let us now take an example. Let's suppose that we are developing a website for a restaurant or an online food service. Suppose initially we have index.html page. This web page, the first one, is, let us suppose that it is index.html web page, which is generally the home page. After a few days, I've created another web page in it, which is, let's say, about.html. Later, I make a few changes in this about.html files by adding some kind of pictures, changing backgrounds, layouts, etc. So let's see what version control system actually stores. Here you can see that when I first created that about.html file, version control system has detected that something has been modified and something has been created. For example, it is storing that about.html page has been created and some kinds of pictures and graphics are added to it. And let's say that after a few days, I feel that the about.html file isn't looking quite good and I need to change the entire layout of the file. Again, version control system will detect that some features of about.html file have been modified and will say that some contents have been changed. So here these three figures denote three different snapshots as different versions. So when I first created that index.html file, it is stored as my version 1. Again, when I created that about.html file and merged it with index.html, then it will be my version 2. This both the code for both the files will be my version 2. And again, after modification of the about.html file, the complete database will be my version 3. So this is how version control system actually stores different versions. If at any point of time you feel that any version is better and more efficient than the current version. If previous version is more efficient than the current version, we can easily switch between these versions with the help of version control system. So a version control system is basically a management system that manages the changes that you have made in your project till the very end. The changes might be some kind of adding new files or you're modifying some of the existing ones. So what the version control system actually does is that every time you make a change in your project, it will it creates a snapshot of the entire project as a different version of the program, and each snapshot is known as version. Version control system can be divided into mainly three types. The first one is local version control system. Then comes centralized version control system. And then finally, we have third one, which is known as distributed version control system. Out of these, local version control system isn't very much popular and is rarely used because of its several disadvantages that we will see in the forthcoming sections. Local version control system is an approach in which the user keeps his own file and saves the changes by himself or herself. That is, the entire management of the file is done by user. But it is quite hard to maintain the changes in text files in local version control system. In this type of version control system, it can get very confusing and the developer might accidentally replace some files which he actually needs in the program. So the chances of corruption of data and replacing of the important files is very much possible in this type of version control system. Also, this approach does not provide effective collaboration. because all the data and files reside in a single system, so the developers cannot work on different locations. They need a shared system to work on their project. So this type of version control system cannot be used for team projects. Second one is centralized version control system. This was introduced to overcome the shortcomings of local version control system. In this method, all the data, including the snapshots, codes, etc., reside on a cloud server, and all the developers who are interested in the project can work in isolation. So centralized version control systems are based on the idea that there is a single copy of your project somewhere, probably a cloud server, and all the programmers can use that copy to make their changes. This method overcomes nearly all the problems of local version control system. Programmers are no longer needed to have to maintain many copies of the files on the hard disk manually, because centralized version control system can retrieve any file from the cloud server whenever it is needed. Now let us discuss the third type, that is distributed version control system. In this system, there is a central repository which is common to all the developers, as well as there is a local repository which is specific to each programmer. So in this method, we overcome the shortcoming of centralized version control system, in which there is a need of net connection to the server for every operation. In distributed version control system, since each developer maintains his own local copy, thus chances of thus the connection of server is needed only in case of push or pull, that is, while uploading the changes or downloading it. This type of version control system is most widely used, and the topic Git, which is one of the most common agendas in the discussion, is basically an example of distributed version control system. So here is a comparison between centralized version control system and distributed version control system. Firstly, in distributed version control system, performing all the tasks other than pushing and pulling of the code is extremely fast, because it needs access to only the hard drive of the laptop and not the cloud server. So distributed version control system is very fast, while in case of centralized version control system, there is all the speed always depends upon the net connection between the client and the server. Secondly, the distributed version control system, committing changes can be done locally without anyone else seeing them. Once the change sets are ready, they can be pushed all at once into the distributed cloud. While in case of centralized version control system, we have to push every change one by one to the server. Also, as we have already seen that in case of distributed version control system, everything except pushing and pulling of code can be done without internet connection. Distributed version control system also provides us with the advantage to share the changes we made to one or two persons at a time just for feedback. It is because each developer has his own local copy and can easily compare them with the changes sent to him or her. Now that we have discussed the types of version control system, here are the other benefits that version control system provides us with. Version control system provides us with the increased development speed, as it provides efficient collaboration between the developers. Thus, it enhances the quality of the project. Since version control system traces every small change, it greatly reduces the possibility of errors and conflicts in the project development process and in the various stages in it. Also, all the developers working on the project can be present at different geographical locations, and they can simultaneously contribute to the project. In version control system, each contributor has a different working copy. So in case of disaster of disk corruption or file losses, the data can be easily restored. Let us now discuss two of the benefits of version control system in which we will cover other points as well. The first thing about version control system avails us with is collaboration. Now imagine that there are three developers working on a project and they are working in isolation, that is at different geographical locations. Let us suppose that this developer A has made some kind of changes, let's say XYZ in a project, and at the same time, another developer 2, has made another changes ABC in the same project in some other files. And they keep on doing it, that is, they make changes, save them, and the report repository. So in the end, when it's time to merge all the changes, there would be a lot of confusion and chaos regarding who made a particular modification in the file and when. But with version control system, developers are provided with a shared workspace, which is known as cloud repository, and it continuously tells you who has made what kind of changes. And this way, it saves a lot of time and efforts of the developers. Now, coming to second benefit, that is version control system helps us in storing versions. Storing versions is very important. Why? This is one of the most important reasons why we need version control system. Storing versions of the project without version control system can be very confusing because there will always be some kind of questions, queries, and doubts that would arise in the mind while saving the version, like which files to be saved, whether to save everyone or 1 minute. Let's just a second. We were on storing versions. So storing versions is one of the most important reasons why we need distributed version control system. Storing previous versions is very important, and without version control system, it can get very confusing because there will always be some kinds of questions and doubts regarding why a particular version was saved and by what name. Now, some questions like which files to be saved, whether to save all the files or only specific files in order to save the disk space, or how to name the different versions of the file. These questions will always arise in the mind whenever we are not using distributed version control system and we are saving the versions manually. Even if you have a very comprehensible naming technique, then too it is quite possible that as that size of the project increases, then at one point you will face difficulty in recognizing the difference between any two particular versions without seeing the source code. So version control system makes this task very easy by automatically saving the versions of the file along with the message regarding why were the changes made. So this was all about version control system. Now let's shift our attention to the next topic, that is Git. Git is basically a version control system, or better to say, a distributed version control system, which is used for tracking changes in computer files. This function makes Git an extremely popular entity in the programming world. Git is used for coordinating the workflow among the members of the project team and keeping track of their event over time. Git allows multiple users to work on a single project without disrupting each other's work. The first advantage of Git is that it is very fast and small. As most of the operations in Git are performed locally, there it gives a huge benefit in terms of speed. Git does not rely on a central server. That is why there is no need of net connection for every operation. Also, the core part of Git is written in C, which avoids the runtime overhead costs associated with other high-level languages. Thus, Git is very fast and small. It occupies a small space in the hard disk. The next benefit of Git is that it provides us with implicit backup. We have already seen that for every project, a separate repository of file is maintained at the local level So in moments of crisis like disk corruption, crashes, etc., the data can be easily retrieved from the local repositories. In other words, we are implicitly provided with a backup facility if we are using Git. Using Git is very secure. It uses a cryptographic function which is commonly known as SHA-1 secure hash function to name and identify objects within its database. This means that it is impossible to change files, date, commits, or any other data from the Git database without any knowledge of Git. The next benefit of Git is that it provides easier branching than other types of version control systems. In centralized version control system, we use cheap copy mechanism, which means that on creating a new branch, it would copy all the changes made to the new branch, and thus it is very time consuming and inefficient. In Git, branch management is very easy, and merging of the branch takes only a few seconds to merge, modify, and create branches. Since a separate repository is maintained at the client side, all the heavy lifting operations like cloning of repository, adding to the staging area, etc., can be done at the local computer. That is, the server hardware can be very light and simple. There is no need of any specific hardware for Git. Now let's move to the features of Git. Here you may feel that some of the features are some of the points we have already discussed earlier, but still I think that these points are important enough to be discussed again. There are mainly 13 features of Git, but in this session we will only cover 7 of them. The first one is distributed, then compatible, then non-linear, branching, speed, reliable, and secure. Let us discuss the first one, that is distributed. It gives each user a local copy of the entire development history, and changes are copied from one such repository to another. These changes are imported as additional development branches and can be merged in the same way as a locally developed branch. Now let's move on to the second topic. Let's see how Git provides the feature of compatibility. It is very much compatible with all the existing systems and protocols. It does not require any specific version of any operating system or something like that. Also, the repositories in Git can be easily published via any platform like HTTP, which is Hypertext Transfer Protocol, FTP, which is File Transfer Protocol, or a specially designed Git protocol over either a plain socket or SSH. Non-linear, let's discuss non-linear function of Git. Git supports rapid branching and merging and includes specific tools for visualizing and navigating development history. Non-linear means that if a new contributor wants to contribute in a project, then it is not necessary for him or her to know the complete history of the project starting from version 1. He can directly start with any version which is suitable to work with. The next feature of Git is branching. Branch management is Git is very simple. Whenever a developer wants to create a new branch, no matter how big or small, they uh, they can easily create it. This ensures that a master branch which contains the main code of the project is always containing production quality code, and there is no compromise with it. Since all the operations in Git take place in the local computer without connecting to any network, Git completes its task very fast, and it and also we have seen that the code part of Git is written in C, so it it avoids the runtime cost associated with other high-level languages like Java, Python, etc. The next feature of Git is reliability. Since every contributor has its own local copy of data, on the events of crisis like system failure or disk corruption or loss of files by any means, the lost data can be easily recovered from the local repositories. So there is no need to worry about the lost data. Now secure. We have already seen that Git uses the function SHA1, which is secure hash function to name and identify objects within its repository. Once the Git records a change, it becomes impossible to change the earlier versions without being noticed. So these were the 7 features of Git, which because of which Git is one of the most popular version control systems which is used by programming world. Next comes an important topic, that is GitHub. It is basically authorized by Microsoft. It is a system that uses Git as its version control system. It is a Git hosting repository which provides developers with tools to ship better codes through command line features. So GitHub is a Git hosting web service that provides web-based graphical interface. It is the world's largest coding community, and putting any code out there gives increased widespread exposure to the code. So GitHub is one of the most popular platforms for version control system. You might be wondering what is the difference between Git and GitHub. So we can summarize everything in one line that if Git is an ingredient and GitHub is a final product. It is similar to Face and Facebook, where Facebook is a collection of faces, that is collection of people, and so is GitHub, which is a collection of all the codes, that is Git. It is the largest hub for open source software. It is not that we have only GitHub for version controlling. We have other types of software as well, but the features provided in GitHub are better than others. So it is one of the most popular platforms for version control. Here are some of the popular open source projects on GitHub. We can directly go on GitHub, search for these projects, and can view the source code of these applications. We can also suggest some modifications if required, and if the owner of the project feels that the modifications are good enough, then they can be incorporated in the next version. So you might be recognizing these logos. This one is Java, the programming language. This logo is of Ubuntu, which is a part of Linux operating system. And this is Mozilla Firefox, the popular web browser. And this last one is Linux operating system. Let us compare what is the difference between Git and GitHub. First of all, Git is a software, whereas GitHub is a service. Git is a software means that we have to install Git in our local system in order to work with it. And since GitHub is a service, we can use web-based application for it. In Git, it is installed locally in our system, and GitHub is hosted on web. Git has command line features, and GitHub has graphical interface. Command line tool means that we have to work in GitHub using various commands. While in GitHub, we are provided with a graphical interface like buttons, text. We can directly click and achieve the task. Git is a tool to manage different versions of edits made to files in a Git repository, and GitHub is a space to upload a copy of the Git repository. That is, GitHub contains all the codes for a particular repository. Git provides functionalities like version control system or source management, etc. And GitHub provides the functionalities or all the functionalities of Git like version control system, source code management, as well as adding few of its own features like forking a repository, etc. So now let us discuss some of the Git commands that are very popular and which you should know as a beginner. The first one is Git help. If you are opening any graphical software, then to know more about the software, we can directly press F1 key. It will list all the features of the software along with other operations in it. But since Git has a command line interface, achieving that benefit is through command line argument git help. If we simply write git help, it will display all the information about Git. It also contains a brief description of other popular commands as well. The second command of git is git log. This command prints the commit history, that is, it lists the version history of the current branch. On using this command, Git will show all the changes made in the branch, by whom were the changes made, and the date and time of the modifications. The next command is git init. This command is used to tell Git about the folder that we want to work on. In other words, it helps in initialization of our working directory. We will see what is working directory in the next section, but till now you have to keep in mind that git init is a command which is used for initialization of our working directory. Git add. Before saving the changes in the file, it should be saved in a staging area. A staging area can be thought of as a temporary location where files are saved before they are actually committed. So this is done by git add command and passing the name of the file as its parameter. Git status is probably the most important command used by beginners. It shows everything that you need to know about your current branch. Like it shows branches that you are currently working on, files which are still left to be committed, and changes that have been committed but yet not merged. Now git commit command. After making the changes, it's time to save the changes. And in order to save the necessary files, git commit command is used, which is like finally telling Git that some changes have been made so that it is now the responsibility of Git to store the previous versions. And git push command is used to push the changes from the remote repository so that they are available for the teammates. It is like uploading the code on GitHub. Running git push will push the new changes in the current branch of the remote repository. Git pull command is used to download new data from the remote repository to the local repository. Like if suppose we are making a team project, then if someone uploads a code by making changes in the remote repository, then it can be downloaded via the command git pull. This command is used to begin contributing to other open source software owned by someone else. If we find any project on GitHub interesting and would like to contribute in it, then it is run by a git fork command. Git branch command is used to list all the branches in the repository. It can also be used to create, delete, or list or rename branches by adding some suffixes like -b, -v, a, d, etc. In Git, branching is an efficient mechanism that allows you to diverge from the main development line, and in other words, it is like working on a small part of the main project for a particular time. So in this last section of theory, we will understand how the code flows in the Git system itself. From so far, what we have learned, you can probably deduce that you will write your code on your system, and that code will be published on the remote repository. And this is exactly what is happening. But here are a few more steps that haven't been discussed till now. So now let's begin talking about those steps. So the first step is initializing a working directory. This working directory is basically the location where all the working code will be stored, and this is where the user will be working from. Suppose in your system you create a folder by the name project folder, and you start working from that folder. Then that project folder will be your working directory. It will contain all the resources of the project which we need to work on. Now let's move to the second step, that is initialization. So once you have assigned a working directory, the next step is to initialize that working directory. And this initialization is done by git init command. When we initialize a directory, we are basically telling Git that this directory or the project folder is now to be regarded as the local repository which can be pushed or distributed cloud whenever needed. So it is like finally telling Git that, hey, this is the folder I want to work on, and please keep a track of all the files which are staged and unstaged in this folder. This is when the Git start tracking all the files in the directory. And then move to the next step, that is initialization. So once the initialization has been staging, this third step is staging. So then comes staging step. Once the initialization has been completed, the work on the code can begin. All the changes that you make, like addition, deletion, or other types of changes that can be made in this step. Suppose we are already have some code in our index.html. Now let us consider our previous example only. We are developing a website and we have indexed some code in our index.html file. You make some changes in that code and then go ahead and stage that code. So you will be basically be working between the initialization phase and the staging phase. So staging is basically telling Git that what files were changed so that it can automatically identify what were the changes made to this file as on comparing with the previous versions. This step is commonly known as staging. Once you have staged your code, you move on to the next step. In the local storage, you are going to be committing. So once the work on the code is done, once you stage the files are then committed. Committing basically means that you are saving the changes that you have made. So suppose in that index.html file, you change, you make some changes by adding some header tag or paragraph tags, and you want to save those changes. Of course, you can directly press Ctrl plus S and it will save the changes. But in order to tell Git about the changes that were made, it is necessary to commit the file. Once you commit the file using the command git commit, it will be stored at a specific commit in the local storage. That you have done all your work, the next step is to push the code in GitHub or the distributed cloud, whichever you are using. Then the code is pushed from the local storage to the cloud. And this is the complete life cycle of Git. So it goes from working directory where you assign one working directory and you start creating all the files inside that directory. Then you initialize that directory and then you start writing code, making changes and doing all those stuffs. Once you're done with making the changes, stage whatever files you have worked on. Once you stage the file, all the changes are tracked by Git, and then it's time to commit the changes or save the changes. On committing, all the changes are saved in the local system, and then comes the last step of pushing the code on the remote repository. Now the code can be later pulled on to make new changes, and the whole cycle will repeat itself. So this was everything about Git lifecycle. Till now, we have learned everything in theory regarding Git and GitHub. What are the features of them? What are the various commands of Git? And finally, the lifecycle of Git. And now it's time to implement the theory and get actually started with Git and GitHub. So first of all, we have to install Git on a system. Here I provided the link. We can click on it. Is the screen visible?
Yes.
Okay. So can you see the browser web page that is opened?
No, sir.
Hmm, okay, wait a second. Now is it visible?
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay. So on clicking this command of installation, we are redirected to this window. Then we can, I think there is network issue. Just wait a second. So now this is the web page that will be open to install Git, or you can directly go on Google and type git install and it will show. The topmost link will be gitscm.com, which is the official website of Git. Here you can download Git for Mac OS, Windows, Linux, whichever operating system you are using, and it contains other information about Git. So I've already installed Git in my system, so there's no need to install it again. So here, here let me create a new folder. Mm. I've created this project folder, which will be my working directory, as we have seen that mm, that in life cycle of Git, that first we have to initialize that working directory. Now, after opening this folder, we have to right click and click on the command git bash here, which will launch the command line interface. So here is the command line interface, and this is only Git. So we can write, use any command, like suppose I want to use git help, then we can type git help. And see, we are provided with all the features of Git, like here, here are the some of the commands like git clone, init, add, mv, restore, bisect, defense, etc. We can use it or as we need. So now let's move on to creating an account on GitHub. So let's create a new tab and go to github.com. So this is the official website of GitHub, and here you can see all the features of GitHub. It contains some codes too. So since we do not have any account, we have to first sign up and click on sign up. It will ask for a username. We can provide any username which we are going to use as our GitHub account. Then we have to provide our email address, basically Gmail, Reddit mail, anything. And then we have to decide a password which should be at least 15 characters long or 8 characters including a number or a lowercase letter. So I already have a GitHub account, so I will directly sign in. So 1 minute. Achha. My username is Yanshu MLSA and password is let's sign in. Then you can see this window. Here there are tabs like pull requests, issues, marketplace, explore. And by clicking here, you can see the profile or repositories which you have created and contributed in. The projects that you have started, stars, gates, and other features. So since I created the account today only, I do not have any repository till now. So let's create one. Then click on this green icon, create repository. First of all, we have to decide repository name. Let's give any random name like example repo. Okay. In description field, you can write your own description about what you are making in the repository. Let us write something randomly. This is just an example repository. Okay. So now you can see that here are two more options, public and private. If you want anyone on internet can make contribution in your repository and can see your code, then you can make your repository as public. Or if you want that your repository should be used only by the people in your organization, or you want to use this repository for 2 or 3 teammates, that is for team project, then you can make this repository as private. Since I am not making any specific this repository for any specific task, I will make it public. So you can also initialize this repository by 3 more commands, 3 more features. Here you have add a README file. Here in description, you can write a few lines about your repository, but in README file you can give the description using text, images, or links, or many other things that will describe your repository completely. So this is asking if you want a README file or not. Let's check this one. Okay. Here the next option is get ignore. So that whenever anyone is going to submit some changes in your repository, you don't always want to pull or push all types of changes. Like if someone has used node modules in web development, then the files are of large size, and if you don't want to make any changes in those files, it is not necessary to download them. So we can add get ignore, and it will ask some template. So let's leave it. Next, we have to make a license. Again, if someone has a license like, let's see what are license available. If someone has a license like this MIT license, GNU public license, Apache license, or GNU Lister public license, or anything, you can create this here. By using license, it makes certain rules like who can edit, or if someone wants to edit, then they have to take your permission. So here is the different type of permission or restrictions based on the license, and you have to search more for them to find which one suits your project. So I will not choose any license. Now let's create the repository. So here my repository is created, and you can see there are many options available here. Here example repo is the name of my repository, and this is just an example repository is the text that we added in the description. Here branch means that we have only one branch, which is the main branch, and we have not anything else. We have not done anything else to the code. So here there are various tabs like issues, pull requests, actions, projects, wiki, security, insights, and settings. So I will not be going into details of these tabs. So now let's start contributing in this repository. Suppose we want to write anything in this repository. Then first we have to write here code. Here a new pop-up will display and it will contain three tabs like HTTPS, SSH, and GitHub CLI. We have to use HTTPS since we are using the web browser. And here is the URL. We have to copy this URL, and then go to our working directory. This will be my working directory. So click on git bash here. Okay. So the first step in Git's lifecycle, we have seen that first step is to initialize that working directory, and it is done by init command. So first we will write git init. So it is printing the message that initialize empty git repository in this file path. So our repository is assigned. And now let us suppose we have to write some code. Then first of all, we have to create a branch. So we will write git checkout b and then give branch name. It can be in branch 1. Let's say branch 1. So here you can see that earlier we were in master branch, and now our branch has been changed to branch 1. So in this new branch, we can create some files and can have some coding. Now right click here. Now let's first clone that repository. Here we have copied the URL. So 1 minute. Git bash here. Okay. First of all, we have to clone that repository. So clone, and then we have to paste that URL. Okay. Just a second. Git clone, and then we have to copy this URL. I don't know why it is showing some error. Just a minute. Let's delete everything and start again. First, we have to create a new folder which will be working directory. Let's name it project folder. Then open that project folder and git bash here. First, we have to clone that repository. Git clone and paste the. So I think there is some problem here on my side. So you can see that there is one initial commit. So the error which is generated, GitHub has recognized that some error has been generated and initial commit is here. We have not done anything, but still GitHub has recognized. So our directory is initialized, and then we have to git clone and paste that URL. There's some problem in pasting, otherwise everything will work. Code paste. Git clone. It is pasted, and then it is cloning my example repository. So you can see that it is displaying the messages like how many objects are there. There are total 3 remote delta 0. So it is basically printing all the details of the example repository. So now go to our working folder and project folder. So you can see that the example repository which we had created on GitHub is now downloaded from GitHub to our local system. So you can see that here is the README file, and on opening it, it is displaying just this is an example repository. So now then write some code. Let's write some code, new, and then go to text document, and then create a text like let's say file1. Okay. And then I'm opening it. Okay. Then let's write a simple program that prints hello to everyone in Java. So I'm writing public class XYZ, where public static void main string args, then system.out.println, hello everyone. So this is a very simple program that will simply print a line. Let's do indentation. Now save the file, Control+S. So we have file1 here, and since we have to tell Git that this file has been modified and created, we have to use commit command. First we have to use add command to add it to the staging area, and then we have to commit that. So first we have to add, and then file name file1.txt. So एक 1 minute. There's a little problem in my system, so I'm not able to see to give the practical demonstration of these commands. So since time is also getting over, so let's quickly summarize everything. So in this meeting, we have learned about open source software. Then we have discussed version control system, or what are the types of version control systems, and then learn about the benefits of version control system. Then we saw the difference between centralized version control system and distributed version control system. Then we saw the benefits of version control system, and then we discussed in details what were the features like collaboration or storing versions in version control system. So, and then we moved on to Git, the advantages of Git, features, then GitHub. Then we discussed that there are about 4 open source softwares that we can directly go on GitHub and search. Then we discussed some of the differences between Git and GitHub. Then we saw some of the Git commands, and then we finally ended a theory with Git lifecycle. So this was everything about theory, and in practical demonstration, there is a little problem in my system, so it is not showing. Okay. So thank you, friends, for listening to this event. If you have any questions on any topic related to this event, then you can ask me using my Microsoft ID. Like, here is my ID. This Priyanshu Srivastav at studentambassadors.com. You can email me and get your doubt cleared. So thank you once again. Hope I will be organizing a next meeting soon regarding how to give the practical demonstration. So till then, I hope to see you there. Till then, goodbye. So thank you for attending this meeting. Hello.
Thanks.
Okay. 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 Bye, everyone.